Hello, I'm Lawrence Magene. I'm welcoming you again to yet another lesson on areas and perimeters of 2D shapes. Areas and perimeters of 2D shapes. For those who missed the first lesson on these areas and perimeters of 2D shapes, one is in my channel. Just look out for it. I've shared the link. Just watch it, and then from there we can build onto this particular portion of the topic, the part two of the topic, areas and perimeters of 2D shapes. So my focus is on 2D shapes, areas and perimeters, generating the formulae, parallelogram, trapezium, rhombus, and circle. 2D shapes are flat shapes that are two-dimensional. Just a recap of what I did or shared in the first lesson, meaning they have length and width but not height. They are also called plane shapes. Examples of 2D shapes include squares, rectangles, triangles, parallelograms, trapeziums, rhombi, that's a plural, then circles, etc. So areas of 2D shapes. What's area? The area of a shape refers to the measurement of the region enclosed by the shape's boundary or outline. The measurement or the region that is enclosed. So where you are is an enclosure. The region that is enclosed where you presently are is the area or the outline that covers or protects where your current territory. The boundary that connects or protects where you are presently is the area. It's typically represented in square units such as square inches, square feet, or square meters. In other words, when you find the area of a shape, your answer will be represented as square centimeters or square meters or square inches. Calculating the area of a shape typically involves multiplying its length and width or base and height, but using a specific formula and mathematical equation. And that's what the lesson is focused on. The perimeters of the shape is the total distance around the outside of the shape. So when you run around your room, you run around a particular place, you are covering the perimeter. Where you are now, the four walls of the current location you are presently is the perimeter. It's the sum of the lengths of all the sides of the shape. In other words, the perimeter of a shape is to add all the lengths of the sides. The perimeter is often used to measure the boundary of a space or to calculate the amount of fencing needed to surround a yard or property. Your compound has a fence around it, that's a perimeter fencing. Your school has a fence around it. Your house has a fence around it. Your room, there are four walls, that's the perimeter of the house. So we're looking at the parallelogram now. We're looking at parallelogram. I told us that the formula is your direction to your destination. I want to go to a place I've never been there. I would need the Google map. I would need a direction. I would need an address that would guide me to where I'm going to. The same is formula. You need a direction. The destination is your answer. How do you get there? The direction. And a formula that is generated based on what the shape looks like is a formula that would stick. For area of a parallelogram, here is a parallelogram here. We have the height. It has a height and a base. So all you need recall, if I ask you what's the area of a parallelogram, or find the area of a parallelogram whose length is 10 centimeter and height 7 centimeter, all I need recall instead of blabbing or guessing. The ultimate thing is getting, not guessing, is to recall how does a parallelogram look like. Okay, it has a height and it has a base. So the area of a parallelogram becomes base times height, a multiplication of two dimensions, because a parallelogram is a two-dimensional shape. Then I have a perimeter. What's the perimeter of a parallelogram? Perimeter of any shape is just to add all the sides. We said that earlier. So the formula for the perimeter of a parallelogram is to add all the sides together. When we come to properties of parallelogram or properties of 2D shapes, we'll go into some analysis. But basically, to find the perimeter of parallelogram, just add all the sides. This side and this side are the same. So if this is 10, this is also 10. If this is 7, this is also 7. And if you look at the parallelogram closely, it looks like a slanted or a tilted rectangle. That's why the area of a rectangle is length times breadth, while the area of a parallelogram is base times height. That takes us to the next shape, which is a trapezium. So all you need to recall is how does the trapezium look? And then now that I know how it looks, what are the labels? These are the parallel sides of a trapezium. this side and this side are parallel because they are lines that never meet. So all I need to do is add the parallel sides. So for area of a trapezium is the sum of the parallel sides times height over 2. So sum of the parallel sides, I am to add them first. So I will put it in bracket to show I am adding them first. Bracket A plus B times height, then over 2. I have one height here, I have another height here. So I'm dividing it by 2. So all I need is recall what a trapezium looked like. And what's the area or the perimeter of a trapezium? Just add all the sides. You don't need to know the formula for that. Just add all the sides. Perimeter is plusing the size of a shape, the distance around the shape, adding them together. You have the perimeter of your shape. Then we move on to rhombus. Now a rhombus is like a tilted square. If I move this shape and straighten it, it will be a square. What is square? A square is a shape with 4 equal sides. A rhombus is also a shape with 4 equal sides. They are both quadrilaterals with 4 equal sides. The only thing that a rhombus is tilted. But the area of a rhombus is slightly different from the others. For me to find the area of a rhombus, I need to get the diagonals. What's a diagonal? A diagonal is a line that runs through or divides a quadrilateral, 4-sided shape. There is one diagonal here, and there's another diagonal here. So you can label the diagonal whatever you want, A or B, C and D, X and Y. So the product of the diagonal of a rhombus divided by 2. So I like to call it P and Q. So P, which is one of the diagonals, times Q, the second diagonals, over 2. That's the area of a rhombus. So if I ask you what's the area of a rhombus, all you need to do is to picture what a rhombus look like and check the labels. What are the features? What does the diagram, the shape look like? Once I know that, I know this is P, this is Q. It can be X times Y over 2. It can be A times B over 2. It can be M times N over 2. Just be sure that you are multiplying the diagonal. There are 2 diagonals here, and they form a right angle. That's that for the properties. Then what's the perimeter of a rhombus? Add all the sides. Remember, all the sides are the same. So you can be given a question. One of the sides of a rhombus is 10 centimeters. Find this perimeter. Just do 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 because there are 4 sides, or 10 times 4. Then we move on to the last shape, which is a circle. So I like to sing the song because we don't necessarily have what it takes to generate the formula for the area and perimeter of a circle here. So I like to call it 2 pi r circumference of circle. Pi r square is the area. 2 pi r circumference of circle. Pi r square is the area, which means the area of a circle is pi r squared. The area of a circle is pi. Pi is 22 over 7 times the radius squared. Okay, so pi r squared. That's the area of a circle. The perimeter of a circle is the same as the circumference of the circle. The perimeter of a circle is the same as the circumference, and that is 2 pi r, or let me put it 2 times pi times r. Pi is like 11 with an hyphen on top. So for want of time, I won't want to bring that symbol here now. 2 pi r, or pi times d. Now, the d is your diameter, the r is your radius. I just talked about diagonal for a line that divides a quadrilateral, while a line that divides a circle into 2 is a diameter. Di means 2. But the line that runs from the center of the circle to any part of the circle is the radius. This is the radius. In other words, double your radius will give you diameter, and half of your diameter is your radius. The longest part of a circle is the circumference, which is the perimeter, the distance round it. So the diameter, if it's 10, radius is 5. If diameter is 14, radius is 7. If diameter is 20, radius is 10. If radius is 5, diameter is 10. If radius is 7, diameter is 14. Double radius, diameter. Half of diameter, radius. So that's that about the area of a circle and the perimeter or the circumference of a circle. So to recap, we have all of the areas and perimeters of 2D shapes here. Just 7 of them. I have shared on squares, rectangles, triangles, parallelograms, trapezium, rhombus, and circle. So the area of a square is length squared, and the perimeter is length times 4. The area of a rectangle is length times breadth. The perimeter is 2 bracket length plus breadth, or 2 length plus 2 breadth, or length plus breadth plus breadth. The area of a triangle, base times side over 2. Perimeter of triangle, add all the sides. Area of a parallelogram, base times height. Perimeter of parallelogram, add all the sides. Area of a trapezium, bracket a plus b times side over 2. Perimeter of a trapezium, add all the sides. Area of a rhombus, p times q over 2. Perimeter of a rhombus, add all the sides. Area of a circle is pi r squared. While, of course, this is the symbol of pi r squared. Pi times r times r, that is the area of a circle. And the circumference of a circle is 2 pi r, or pi times d. Here is the symbol of pi. So I will be bringing this session to a close. The next lesson will be on volumes of 3D shapes. Volumes of 3D shapes. Remember, to recall, to know the area or perimeter of these shapes. All you need is to picture the shape, analyze it, and generate the formulae from what the shape looks like. Okay, so in the next video that I'll be sharing on this channel, I'll be sharing on the volumes of 3D shapes. Thank you very much. Please, for those who have subscribed, thank you so much. Those who are yet to, please, as you watch, subscribe, share. There are 1,001 people that, especially children, who need this information, who need this lesson, as well as adults too. Share, watch, like. Thank you so much. Hope to see you when I come up with the next video. Thank you.